Hello everyone, welcome to this week's webinar. We're here in Scottsdale, Arizona at the My Swing Professional 3D Motion Capture Studio. We're brought to you by Medicus Golf and Kick-X Golf. And today's subject is what are the fundamentals in golf? And I think you'll be surprised when we talk about these. If you have any questions, just put them in the sidebar there and I'll get to those after we talk. So, as I've stood up in the past and done workshops and done clinics for amateurs, I will say, somebody yell out and tell me what one of the fundamentals are. And the ones that typically come up are grip, aim, and posture. That's typically the ones that come up. So let's talk about those in order. So first of all, if the grip was a fundamental means that it's a must-do. And if my grip was like this, let's say, all right, but somebody else's grip was like this, and they played the PGA Tour, and my skills were just as good, but I didn't control the club face from here, then that would mean that that's not a fundamental. If you look at the grips, Paul Azinger is kind of like this, Jose Murillo Olafabo like this. Okay, they're both excellent players. Ben Hogan was like this, excellent player. All right, so that would tell me that grip is not a fundamental in general. Now, it may be whatever your grip is, and we can test you for that, but whatever your grip is, then it would be a fundamental for you to have that particular grip location. So if I just stood like this, and I'll move closer so you can see it, you see how this hand hangs for me. If I drop this club over here and I put this hand on at the angle it's hanging, that tells me that's my left hand angle. Now, you've seen us do this before. So as I take my left hand and try to rotate this as far to the left as I can, you'll see how that leading edge is now level to the ground. If my grip was weaker, for a right-handed player, that means turn to the left. And now I do the same thing. You see how that leading edge does not get level to the ground. If my grip was like Paul Azinger's or Freddie Couples, now it's past level to the ground. So that's a way to find out, is let your arm hang whatever angle it hangs, bring the club over here. Don't reach over this way, because if your arm hangs like this and you reach in the middle, it's actually going to go to a weaker position. So you want to grab it over here to the left. Then what you want to do is you want to take your right hand and just marry that hand to the club this direction. So if my grip and this little V that's formed right here is pointing to my right shoulder, I'd also want the V from that right hand to my shoulder. Wouldn't want that right hand on top. So you wouldn't go like this, because that makes that V too straight up and down. All right, so this does not mirror the club face at all. All right, this would be just level to the club face, and this would be at the same angle as the face. You don't want that with your right hand grip. You want your right hand grip to mirror an angle of your left hand. So grip is not a fundamental. So now let's talk about posture. So you had Hogan who stood up here like this. You had Hubert Green who stood like this. Okay, well, they both won major championships. Hogan obviously is somebody that everybody knows, and most people may not remember Hubert Green. But so posture is not a fundamental. So how do you find out which posture you need to do? It's very simple. You just stand up with your hands, and I'm going to put down your hands on your thighs. Now, just slide your hands down to the top of your knees. All right, so as I'm doing that, you'll see that my knees are starting to flex and my spine's starting to work forward. And that's where my arms hang. So for me, that's my posture. Now, yours, if you had exceptionally long arms, you may only go to here. If you have alligator arms, you may wind up going to there. So now once I have my posture, the next thing I need to do is to figure out how far I need to be from the golf ball. So if you're standing back here trying to hit your golf shots, you see how my arms are extended away from my shoulders. If I just let my right hand drop, you'll see it swinging completely under the club. So to make this fit, I would have to bring the club back here. Unfortunately, I'm going to miss the ball from here. So from here, when I swing back, you'll notice how the plane gets a little bit around, and the shaft goes around too much. Conversely, if I'm Jim Furyk and I'm standing on top of the ball like this, right, this is where my hand hangs. I mean, he's actually a little more like this. So if I just let my arms hang from there, now I make that same backswing, you can see how much more up the backswing is versus inward. Okay? So posture would not be a fundamental. Again, once you find what your posture is and your grip is, those are your fundamentals, but they're not for everyone. And finally, your aim and alignment. So if I'm somebody that draws the golf ball, I am never going to be aligned to where I want this ball to end up. That would mean I'd have to swing too far out to the right to get it back. I'm simply going to take my body and aim it slightly to the right. I'm going to hit a good draw, a playable draw, as a right-handed player. Or I'm going to aim it slightly left. I'm going to hit a playable fade. So there's virtually no shot in golf that you would stand square to unless you hit the ball dead straight. Because again, if you're going to curve it, it's going to curve offline if you're lined up straight. So those three things, grip, aim, and posture, you can call it gap, call it whatever you want it to be, they're really not a fundamental. So now let's talk about what a fundamental could be. All right, so a fundamental would be striking the ball in the same place, consistent contact. Consistent on your swing path, whether it's inward to outward or whether it's outward to inward. Consistently hitting the same shot shape. Okay? Those are pretty much of a fundamental. You've got to be able to get the ball from point A to point B. So fundamentally, you've got to have a consistent path, a consistent club face, right? And you've got to consistently hit it in the middle of the face. Because nothing else matters unless you can control this golf ball. So you have to control the path and the face, because that's going to give you the starting direction and the amount of curvature. So fundamentally, what do you have to do that? First of all, you have to figure out, are you a fader of the golf ball or are you a drawer of the golf ball? So if you're a drawer of the golf ball, you know that you're going to aim your face where you want the ball to start. Then you're going to aim your body, for a right-handed player, slightly farther right than that face is pointed, and then swing along the bottom, swing along your body line. If you're a fader of the ball, you're going to aim the face where you want the ball to start. Again, so this would be left target for right-handed player. Now I'm going to set my body even farther left, because I want my path to be farther left than my face is in order to curve it back to target. So those are just some basic information things on fundamentals. So again, it is fundamental once you have your grip, your aim, your posture. Those are fundamentally yours once you figure out what those are for you. But to say that one grip is universal for everybody and that one posture is universal for everybody just doesn't fit, because people are different sizes, they're different flexibilities, the arms are different lengths, clubs are different lengths. There's a whole lot of variables that go on in there. So we have several questions here I can see, so let me start answering some of these questions for you. All right, so the first question is by Don Teague. Can you explain hitting from the golfing machine? Okay, so hitting is basically a right arm thrusting motion. This would be a hit. I'm thrusting my right arm as hard as I can. So in order to do that, you have to be able to clear or pre-clear your right hip as a hitter. So you would turn this hip and get out of the way to make room for your hand. As you take it back here, the club is loaded here, and then it's driven down this way. Hitters typically, their hip motion goes what we would call cross line, so the club comes more from the inside. So most short game shots are hitting shots. So if I just take my right arm, bend it and straighten it, that's a hitting motion, okay? A swinging motion is I would get this swinging from the shoulder socket by how my body is pivoting, okay, and how my arm is swinging. All right, next question. This one is from Padma. What type of health precautions to be taken to continue to play after 60 years, and the diet to be taken? That's a difficult question. You probably need to speak with your doctor about that, or your physio worker, because people's diets are going to be different. Their physical makeup's going to be different. Your body may not be as flexible as it was when you were 20. Some people are more flexible because they use a regular workout regimen. But again, I'd go see a physical trainer. Let them know that you're a golfer. You try to find somebody that specializes in golfers. But some things you want to make stronger is you want to make your core stronger, your glutes stronger, your hamstrings stronger. You need all of those stronger. You need to make sure that your shoulders, your traps back here, and your scapula are all pretty strong but pliable for this. Once those tighten up, it takes a while to get them to loosen up, and it may take you several months, maybe even a year, to get them to loosen up how your physio wants you to be having loose. As far as a diet, again, you got to speak to your doctor about that. I don't do anything with that. I mean, my diet consists of a Coca-Cola and ding dongs. So that's all I can tell you about mine. All right, next question. This next one is by air. How much power comes from the body pivot and how much from the arms and hands? Okay, so there averages. These are averages, okay? So the arms and hands, which would consist of the joint, the shoulder joint here, and the hands are about 67% of all the power from the arms and hands. However, the body, feet, knees, hips, right, and your core, these joints, they're going to provide on an average, right, of about 67, so about 33%. We had Dr. Phil Cheatham and I were just having a discussion earlier about a hand-controlled pivot versus pivot-controlled hands. In the golfing machine, we see it slightly differently because we do know that you just wouldn't swing like this. This would just be the arm swinging. So now the pivot has to move in order to transport those arms. Okay? All right, next question. All right, this is by Greg. I have limited flexibility and was wondering how long should my backswing be? Also, what starts the downswing, the lower body or my arms? And when should my hand release happen? Thank you. Okay, limited flexibility. So here's a test for you. Put your club across your shoulders and stand up vertically. Turn and keep, if you're a right-handed player, turn and keep your left heel down. Okay, that's as far as I can turn. Now turn and release your left foot to the toe. I got a lot more flexible by letting this left foot come up and this knee working inward. So I got a lot more flexibility by just doing that. And it'll be the same thing down here. So now as I start back and I let that toe release, you can see how much I've turned. I'm going to keep the foot down and limit my hip turn. Now you can see I don't have near as much shoulder turn. So again, flexibility issues. One thing you can do is sit in a chair, the club across your chest, and just try to turn your shoulders as far as you can. Then when you get up, let this foot come off the ground, where you'll be on your left toe, knees coming inward. That's going to allow you to have more hip turn, more shoulder turn. Downswing always starts from the ground up. So if I'm at the top of the backswing, actually it's already starting before I reach the top. So the best players in the world, right before they get to the top, their hips are already starting to go back the other way. That's why you see this look in their swings, right? So as you're turning back, right before you get to the top, feel like it's starting with the pressure into the left foot or front foot, followed by your left hip starting to turn and go behind you this direction. You don't want to slide it too far that way. So again, it's going to be just in the reverse order. So if I take it back, it's the club, hands, arms, shoulders, body. Now it is lower body. Now it's hips. Now it's the chest. Now it's the arms. Now it's the club. Okay? So the club is coming down the whole way. So you can think of it like this. If I get to the top of the swing, and I'll show you right from this angle. This club head is inside my hands. That's outside my hands. So if I do it like this, I just stand up. I go to the top of the backswing. The club is inside my hand. Now watch as I start down. As soon as that shaft gets past parallel, see that club wants you rapidly swing down. You have to let it do that. Okay? Don't try to hold this forever like that. And when you do this, Watch what happens now. So I start my downswing sequence. The club gets outside my hand, and boom, falls right on the golf ball. So trying to hold that angle is not going to do you any good. You're actually slowing the club down. All right, next question. This is from Dan. Best way to swing through the hitting zone? Do you focus on the back or front of the golf ball? All right, so let me ask you this, Dan. If you're in a green side bunker, do you look at the ball, in front of the ball, or behind the ball? Well, your answer would be behind the ball, because you're not trying to hit the ball, you're trying to hit the sand, right? So when I'm swinging down, I'm directing the club to the inside quadrant of this golf ball, but I'm looking at the front of it, because that's where I want the club to enter the ground, is in front of the golf ball. I want to hit ball, then turf. All right, next question. And this one is by John. How can I stay behind the ball with my driver? My miss is getting too far forward and then flip it or come in too steep. All right, so let me grab a driver here real quick. We see this all the time. So I've got a golf ball here. I'm not sure if you can see it. Let me back up. There we go. All right, so first of all, if you have the ball too far back, which this ball would be in the middle of my chest right now, when I get to the top, it's really hard for me to get behind the golf ball. I'm actually a little bit left of it. So as I start down, this club face is going to be pointed well to the right, which is going to make me have to stop and flip the club. First thing you want to do is position the club a little farther forward. You want to position it up by your lead shoulder. Set up like you're on an uphill lie. So you set up feeling like the angle of this shaft. Right now, from here, as you swing back, again, you got to start the downswing sequence. So it's going here, here. So you feel like you're hitting up the slope on an uphill line. Again, if you move your whole body forward like this, that essentially moves the ball back. So I would do a couple of things. I practice hitting shots off an uphill lie. You're going to feel like you have a lot of weight on your back foot because you're on an uphill lie. But you will have pressure on your front foot. So when you set up, just emulate that uphill lie, make your backswing, make your downswing, come into impact, make sure, and you'll find out you'll be tilted this way a little bit, because the impact with the driver is definitely not here. Not here, it's here. So I would practice this. I'd set the ball to the club, move right to here so you can feel it. And do this in front of a mirror so you can see yourself. And experience and sense where the pressure is in your feet, what it feels like in these joints, right? Because this is going to feel completely different than this. So you want to have this side, your lead side stretched upward, your back side kind of bent, okay? This way you have what's called side tilt. And from this angle you see it a little bit differently, okay? You'll see that your hips are open, shoulders are open. And that's the look you're trying to get at impact. So practice that in front of the mirror and hit balls off of an uphill line. All right, next question. All right, from Air, are golfing machines 3 imperatives and 3 essentials of fundamentals? No. Because you can have straight clean lines, you can feel the club lagging, right? And you can still whiff the golf ball. Because you won't have enough power. The 3 fundamentals are basically what I covered earlier. I mean, you can have, there's any number of them. You need the grip that works for you to get this club face back. You need to have the posture based on your height, arm length, leg length, right, to keep you on the golf ball. And you need to be able to control the start line and the amount of curve, and that's relative to path and face. All right, I think we have one more question. And this is from Jay. Is a low compression ball best for 90-mile-an-hour swing speed? Here would be my recommendation. So 90-mile-an-hour swing speed, I mean, that isn't all that low, you know, for an amateur golfer, and it depends on whether it's a driver or a 5-iron. Well, let's say it's a driver. But What you want, and especially if you curve the ball a lot, you want a ball that has less spin. If you hit it pretty straight, right, then you want a ball with more spin because they'll act differently around the greens. But a low compression ball, I mean, pretty much all the golf balls are the same nowadays. I mean, they used to make years and years and years ago, Titleist made a ball called the Club Special. It was about a 70, 75 compression golf ball. And when you hit it and you got over here, it felt like it was still on the face, so you had to try to throw it off. It was really soft. So, but today's golf balls, they're made to maximize distance. But again, depending on if you have an excessive amount of curve, you want to get a low spin golf ball. All right, that's all we got for today, kiddos. Thanks for all the questions. It was great. If you guys get in the Phoenix area, give me a call. We'll work on your golf game. And until next week, we'll see you.